Hey everyone, it's Davi, and this is a look into my self-care practice, or at least one small part of it, what I call rolling and spiraling, and I'll throw a few other things in there as we go. So this is something that I do by myself. A lot of these skills I learned from practice of contact improvisation, from capoeira, from body work, Thai massage, a lot of different places. So, come along. I'm leading all of these movements from my legs. The legs are opening and closing and reaching into extension. And in the meantime, the arms stay long along the ears like you're doing a handstand. If at any time the arms come out to the side, it will block the rotation. So there's a moment of, almost like Superman. Just a moment, and then relaxation again so that the head rests on the arms as we move through. We're trying to create a spiral all through the entire body, leading from the tip of this toe, from the rotation at the hip, and also from the flexion, inward, outward, dorsal, plantar, from the ankle. So it's really every part of the body. So I'm here, I bring the foot across, I reach it out, and I'm also bringing my pinky blade to the fore. And I'm turning down the toes and using them on the ground to support this. Now this time I just add the Superman arms. And suddenly I'm here, but I can still stop because I have my left toe on the ground. I can anchor and roll back through the hips. So I lead with the toe, I pause, and then I retract from the hips and spiral, and the leg follows and comes all the way out to the other side. And as I do this action, I feel huge stretching through the groin and through the hips. Now here, if I reach my right leg behind, I will actually travel significant distance. My feet will travel, but my arms won't, so you'll end up rolling in a big circle, or more likely into a wall, and then have to reset and do it again. So instead, after I come through, as soon as I have my body weight free and centered again, I'll switch my legs and bring the bottom leg, the left leg, forward, and they'll both be bent and then begin to extend from the knee, extend from the hip, and here's the open spiral. And as I do this open spiral, I'm also engaging my big toe forward so the foot, the ankle, is pronating. And then the open spiral stretches my calf, stretches my hamstrings, stretches my hip, takes me around, and I'm here, and I still have my left leg on the ground here, and in fact, I can reverse this movement by engaging my left heel here, and coming right back through from the hips, and my hips lead, and my feet come last as the result of a whip. So as you can see, there's a lot of bending and straightening of the knees happening, but at the moment of creating that rotational power, it happens as the arms and the legs extend. And the head can either be activated, which will lift you, or the head can be passive, which will cause you to flop. Now, which of these actions is preferable depends on whether you are under dancer or over dancer. When you're underneath, you're generally trying to relax, to soften, and you'll let your head be soft. If you're the over dancer, depending on where your center of gravity is and which direction you're moving, it's quite likely that you'll be initiating these rolls simultaneously with your legs and your arms, or needing to use a little bit of arm power to finish, and potentially even a little turn of the head to finish the movement. So it might look more like this if I were flying. And you can see that then there's momentum because only the contact point is on the ground. Now, too much of that engagement when flying makes you unwieldy. There's a really fine balance in between activation and softness. They would say in acro yoga, tight is light. I would agree that tight is light. The challenge in contact improv is that we want you to actually be a little bit heavy still. If the flyer goes really tight and they become light and they're rolling around the shoulders, oftentimes they will become so light that they fly away and then eventually become heavy again. So striking that balance of creating lightness at the moments of transition and then softness at the moments where the centering is good and you don't really need to try to help your base. The base can create most of the momentum, all of the suggestions from the earth, and the flyer simply needs to become light at the right moments and to initiate spirals with the appropriate limbs, and everything else will connect through. My hips, both of them, just from doing that exercise, even only in one direction, feel really, really different. Now, come through and go really slow. Now, resist the urge to just turn early. If I'm here and I go, oh, and now I use the muscles here to turn this part, I'm missing the opportunity to stretch and open this entire chain. So I'll stay here, I'll reach, and I feel a stretch, and right now the stretch is kind of stopping around here somewhere. Now this is because there is latent tension in these muscular regions, and I can bring my awareness to that tension by activating and relaxing through a reciprocal inhibition. So simply identifying, what arm movements, here it is, it's really drawing down and back. Now I feel this area turning on, and then I'll think, what's the spring opposite of that is here, and now I'm activating all of these muscles around here, and what happens automatically is that the reciprocal muscles, the antagonists, relax. And then the other question is, from this extreme range of motion, can I initiate this action from the same muscle groups? Even very small action just to start the process, and then let it continue through rippling. Oof. And remembering that I need to continue that activation, which is not part of my habit. So this is where the awareness has to really turn on. So in this position, another really nice exercise is to keep the hand as close to the ground as possible and sweep it. And here my elbow has to be quite bent, and I'll give you a better angle on this. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah, this is pretty good. So, I've been rolling, I end up here, I come to here, I'm balanced on my side. I'm balanced in such a way that the tiniest little movements of my feet can bring me towards falling backwards versus falling forwards. And now in this balanced position, when I move this arm, here I've pulled forward. Here the balance shifts to my backside, and it opens my spine as my legs stay put and circles all the way around until here, it's bringing my balance back forward. How lovely. And here, my arm needs to be a little bit bent right around here. This is where the really difficult stretch begins for me. So I let my arm bend, that's okay. And now I feel an even deeper and better stretch here through the anterior deltoid going into the biceps and the brachialis. Wow, what a nice stretch. And then reaching out, oh, interesting. Now I feel I don't really need to bend it there somehow. And it just comes from being in the place where you feel like you need to bend. For me, a moment ago, it was here. It's literally not there anymore, but I'll reenact it. But I got to here, and it was like, oh, you better bend. And if I can sit here in that exact range of motion where it needs to be bent and play with straightening it, it causes the muscles to shear against each other in a unique way that creates separation between the myofascial adhesions. Ugh. And now when I test again my range of motion through there, it's no problem for me to touch the floor or my body all the way around. Quick fix, felt really good, no pain involved, a little bit of like, ooh, that sort of pain, but I'm totally into that. Whew. So, again, we roll. Okay, and we roll. Oh, that's nice. And we roll. We have the Superman arm here, and now here I am. I'm balanced. Here I'm falling forwards. Here I'm falling backwards. And I begin to explore. Sweeping, and oh, for this one, oh yeah, that is, that's really rough right through there. Whoa, and there too, and there, and there. But starting off in a better position than the right one was, I can already touch the floor with my fingertips with the arms straight. Just barely. Just barely. As I do this, I'm breathing as deeply as I can. And I'm still playing with activation, relaxation, coming from my legs, because when the legs are really like, stretched out, this will create more tension in the rest of the body because all the fascia is connected. So as the legs extend and stretch out, of course, it's going to create some reaction. And that reaction has very wide-reaching effects all the way to the tips of the fingers. So you can sit here, you can stretch your arm out and stretch your leg out, and notice that with the leg bent, I have some like rebound and elasticity here all the way to the end. With the leg stretched out, I get to here, and already it feels tight. Bend the leg, and it goes to there. So much more. Stretch out the leg, and actually it pulls my arm back a little bit. So recognizing and remembering that from one tip of the body to the other tip, including the head, including the fingertips, including the toes, and even conceptualizing the tip of your tail maybe as the bottom of the top half of your body, we can stretch ourselves from tip to tip. And that's the easiest way to do it, and it's the most pleasant way to do it, and for me, it's the most fun way to do it. Traditional stretching, what you might call isolation stretching, does help unlock specific muscle groups. If I sit here like this, and if I'm mindful to have correct alignment of my ankle in this position, because most people allow the foot to supinate, and then they'll place the ankle here on the leg, and you can see how the energy line is totally broken, the alignment is totally broken. Whereas if I'm here, suddenly the ankle is strong, the knee can still come down, in my case, to the ground, and then as this leg comes in with a similar ankle stability, right now I'm locked into this position using my own muscular activation. Most people lack the flexibility, and so they crank the legs into the shape and wedge them in with that bending of the ankle, and so putting stress on the knee and the hip and cutting off circulation. So most people who sit in lotus position for a very long time will eventually have to stop because one of the legs or both of the legs will fall asleep. My flexibility is not perfect. It's way better than it used to be. I remember when I first started practicing this position, I could do it for about 15 to 20 seconds before it was too painful, and I quite literally had to stop. The same is true of this position. Toes tucked under, Knees on the ground. Spread the buttocks a bit in order to put the sits bones directly on the heels, and scoot the body weight back so you're getting the biggest stretch through the toes that you possibly can. Oh, I really enjoy this position, and seeing my alignment in the camera, I can actually use this tool to say, oh, that's right. If I engage my stomach, lengthen my tail, lift my perineal floor, allow my chest to open while not flaring open, very different. Looking for openness, not flare. So I have to keep the abdominal muscles. There's 3 sets of them that all attach right up onto the ribs. I'm going to pull them down and remind myself that my breath does not involve that movement. It is very possible to breathe to increase the size of the lung capacity by flaring open the chest. Many people incorporate this movement into their breath. Many people are stuck in a permanently flared open position. After long enough, the body will simply create structures that hold it in place anywhere that movement's not done. So now I'm really aware of my posture, sitting tall, allowing my chin to drop down, my throat to soften, my tongue to relax down and back in my throat, my mouth to hang open. This feels better. And I notice right away that my voice also has changed. In this position, turning my head feels different. Feels like I shouldn't be able to turn it this far and still speak without changing any of the inflection. And also turning it this way feels strange. Oh, and this time on the left, I noticed my voice pitch up as I turned, which indicates to me that there was a muscular action, something that was activating and causing my vocal resonance chamber to change. So now I'm going to do a more cautious investigation into that area. Opening the nasal cavity, reminding myself tongue soft, jaw soft. Belly in, hollow body, rib cage closed, and allowing myself to adjust my legs because they're part of this. As this shifts, something becomes weird. Always just feel free to update and shift your position. Your body's natural intelligence knows what to do. So, I'm going to just keep speaking. I'm going to try to talk in a way that my jaw is relaxed, and I'm going to keep talking just right now in exactly the same way so that my jaw is relaxed. And here I am, and I've done it more successfully this time. My vocal resonance chamber has not shifted, but I can tell you that my proprioception right now is that my head just went like in a loop. It didn't feel like it just turned. It felt like it moved along a track forward and then back to the left. When I do to the right, and I keep speaking and I do this, it actually feels very much like it's turning on a swivel. And when I come back this way, and I'm trying to keep it in place, I notice that there is a weakness here. There was a muscle activation I felt here that assisted me in keeping my head in position as it turned to the right. How helpful. On this side, even when I just touch, I can feel there's not as much muscle there. And so I'm going to ask myself, how do I turn this muscle on? This feels like part of my trapezius. Yeah. The trapezius comes all the way up, and any muscle can be strong or weak in different areas. And I feel like there's plenty of strength in the muscle here, but around here, oh, there's a thing that muscle can do that draws my head in this way. It opens down and back and pulls me away. Now, in martial arts, this is a really essential skill because at any moment, if I'm here ready and I see or sense something coming from over there, the ability to turn and face it while also creating enough space from it that I have more ability to react or to evade is very helpful. We also have inbuilt into our nervous system the ability to track and move towards a thing, and it's a very different muscular action. If I look with my eyes and I ask myself, draw this object closer to me, I can feel my eyes activate rotationally, and it draws my body towards it. Now, I didn't think about what I was doing there, but my legs did a lot without my thought or my intention. I'll move back so that you can see. So if I'm here and I see something over there, ideally I'm going to see it with my eyes first, not with my whole head. And I'll look and I'll ask, draw that towards me. And move back away from it. Again, I'm not thinking about or trying to do this. I believe this is something that when the body is trained, it knows how to act. So far we've been working only with the earth. These are some like 2-inch thick foam mats, which are quite soft, and really an ideal training surface for this is a bit harder. I like puzzle mats. I know they're not super ecologically healthy or sustainable. Maybe we can find some that are made of natural materials. But with like 1-inch thick puzzle mats, you can take apart your floor and put it back together super easily. You can clean it, and soft enough to roll around on, but also hard enough to get resistance against. The other tools that I use very regularly in my practice are my friends, the Ohm roller. I love these things. And it's kind of cool to be here in Chiang Mai, Thailand right now, where they're manufactured, where my friend PJ started a business, I think close to 10 years ago, is that I can do a contact improvisation practice, really train myself, become a better dancer without another human around, because these are an excellent approximation for a partner who is listening really, really carefully and not adding anything. Listening, responding, accepting all of the suggestions, but not adding anything new. Sometimes in a contact improv practice, that's exactly what your partner will be doing. So there's 1,000 different ways you can work on these rollers. And some of them that I quite like involve using a bunch of them at the same time to approximate multiple bodies, different orientations, different distances, and figuring out, where's a spot that I can really rest and have pressure into multiple interesting areas, and also have the ability to transition from position to position along the multiple rollers with minimal friction. Depending on your floor, you might stick to the floor, especially if it's carpet. And so the ability to get yourself elevated even a little bit, that right now in this position, if I activate and hold some shape, press down with my arm, press down with my leg, and reach, I can get totally off the floor, in which case just a tiny little push from one of my hands creates this movement. And now, here's a spot that's like very, very, very uncomfortable. But if I relax, I can find the earth. And my tricep right now is taking a real beating. When I feel that the muscle has softened and I've come to a depth where I'm not going to suddenly slip off of it, that's when I can start to play with the fingertips and the wrist and create rotation in the radius and ulna in the lower arm, and see if I can cause the tricep muscle to activate, to slide against the pressure. Oh yeah. Now here I am. I did not plan to be here. I have never done this before in this exact position, because with the 3 different rollers, there's so many infinite combinations. And I also happen to have my hand here wedged against the leg of a table, which creates even more opportunities for me to create interesting resistance. This practice is targeted to a certain extent, but it is also highly improvised. Without planning to be here, I am here, and obviously this is something I need because I feel such deep release happening through my rib cage. And the way back out, because I'm on the rollers, I should just need a hand basically. And I can scoot back and up here again. So this is just one example of a 3-roller position where, without the help of another human, I've just done something that I don't know if a human's ever done it quite exactly like that before. The resources that we have access to, and the ideas and the spaces have provided us a really unique opportunity to open and explore our bodies in a way that humans of the past probably never had an opportunity. So I think that's good for now. You can explore the techniques shared in this video. I'd recommend that you just put it on in the background, have a look at it, and then sit down and keep doing it, because I did each of them for a long enough time that if you just follow along, you can also just ignore what I'm saying when I switch sides. I'm going to move on to something else and keep going and then rewind the video. I will be shocked if you try a practice like this, including the part on the floor without the rollers. If you do it every day for like 10 or 15 minutes, you'll start to notice huge changes in your flexibility quickly. And oh yeah, I will leave you with one final thing, because while most people don't have something like this, you may have a foam roller, probably not one that's made of like mango wood and foam, latex, natural, cotton, etc. But certainly a foam roller will work. And then here's something that everyone has, probably, is anything you can find that has a little tiny stretch to it, or it's even fine if it's just a piece of nylon rope or something that is wide enough that you can, when you're warm, take your arms all the way over, behind, and down. Some people call these shoulder dislocations. I don't like that name for it, because the shoulder is changing its location, certainly, but dislocating has a very negative connotation of injury. And if anything, I would call it shoulder relocations. So you can explore standing up or sitting or kneeling. I'm going to show sitting down just because of the camera angle. So if you bend the elbows, you should be able to get one down, and while it's down, switch and get the other one down. And come back up by bending the elbow and stretching, the other one straight. Right? So here we have the arm that is on top, in my case the right arm, bending at the elbow as much as necessary. Now I'm gonna do the other side. Bending and then extending. The arm that's moving. The arm that stays down and back stays straight. So you can do these circles. Bending, straightening, bending, straightening. I'll show you from the side. So the arm that moves bends, bends, extend, extend. And what you'll find is that as you warm up, eventually you won't need to bend them anymore. And if you go to the range of motion where the arm is bent, you pause there and practice straightening and softening that arm. There, you'll feel a really big stretch. And you can see how the next logical step from these asymmetrical passovers is that you would be doing symmetrical ones as well. And as soon as it starts to feel super easy to do these movements, and for me, I still notice, on the right side, there's something right in there below my scapula. So, good thing for me, I have a lacrosse ball. I'm gonna set it down and try to get it, right on that spot, just inside the blade of my scapula. And this is a perfect example of the mats being just absolutely too soft because I'm not getting as much pressure into the ball as I would like. So, well, that's very different. And from here, simply by reaching and moving this same arm, the right arm, I feel the muscles that attach to my scapula activating, softening, stretching, releasing with these spiraling movements of my hand and arm and wrist, and allowing the ball to slide into new locations when it feels right. And right now, the ball is, again, riding along the edge of the shoulder blade. Some of the muscles that attach on there are the rhomboids, and I feel like my rhomboids are having a really significant experience right now with this ball. Oh man, so yeah, it's a journey. One of the reasons that I have decided to make this self-care video series is because I know it's gonna help me too, because every day I'm gonna film 10-15 minutes of this stuff and throw it online, and that means that every day I'm doing 10 to 15 minutes of this stuff. So I hope that you watch and experience and play and heal. And if you have any questions or comments, put them in the comments. I'll read them. Well,
I'll read some of them at least. If there's too many, I won't read them all. But that would be a really great problem to have, wouldn't it? All right. I'll see you tomorrow.